I was working in the environmental movement in the Northern Rockies in the early 90s when the gray wolves were first reintroduced into Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming from populations further north up in Canada. And we had, in that part of the world, an intense, thorough debate and discussion about the positives and negatives for really everybody concerned about trying to reintroduce a very demanding species like the gray wolf. Some of those debates were fierce. I mean, I had hide taken off myself in smaller towns in Idaho when I would go out and explain that there were benefits. And I know that not everyone on all sides of the debate felt like they got what they wanted, but everybody got something. That's the kind of debate we need to have. I feel that it was full and fair, but it raises the point we talked about earlier, where you can't now just stand back and say, well, we brought the wolf back, good job, and walk away from it. I mean, wolves are going to encounter us and our property in the form of farm animals, and there's going to be losses. The key ought to be to try to make those losses something that we can tolerate and accept in exchange for the benefit of having an important species there in the ecosystem. There has to be emotion, there has to be gut level feelings that get involved in this. I'm not a big fan of trying to pretend that scientists and bureaucrats and computers are going to answer these kinds of complicated questions about how much open space is enough, what kind of open space is enough, what should happen when a bear kills somebody's cow, how many bears do we want to know are out there when we walk through, let's say, the Wind River Mountains. I mean, these are not inherently questions that you can answer with data. They're going to involve people's perceptions and feelings. To me, the best mix of decision making would be where you have an appropriate use of data. For example, the statistics about how many mother grizzlies with bear cubs a particular habitat set can handle. As long as people have the data available, they should have the room to make decisions that aren't all purely data driven. I mean, I happen to believe in hunting. I'm not a bear hunter, but I hunt other animals. And if we conclude after looking at the data that there are about 3 times more bear families in an ecosystem than the ecosystem can support without bad interactions increasing between bears and people and bears and our animals like cattle, then hunting is probably the best means of keeping the bear population within what the habitat can support. How much science and rationality and how much just what I feel or what I see should enter into this that's squaring the circle. That's the tricky part, because experts who work for government agencies are usually going to be more comfortable with numbers and spreadsheets and such. A lot of people who are political activists will generally be more comfortable with powerful images. They both have a role to play. They both have a part to play in making good decisions.